In this video, we complete step 27, the value counts method. So the value counts method, its primary purpose is to simply look at one column of data and count the number of times each value appears in that particular column. So if you have, say, a column and there's 100 values in it, say 10 of them are unique, it will return just those 10 values and their associated counts, meaning the number of times that they occurred in that particular column. So our value counts method will act on every single column and will return one data frame for every single column. And it will return the results as a list. So if you have 5 columns, it's going to return a list of 5 data frames. The only time it's not going to return a data frame is if there is one column, and then the only time it will not return a list is if there is one column, and then it will return just a single data frame. So each data frame that it returns will consist of 2 columns. The first column will have the same name as the original, and it will have just the unique values. The second column will be titled count, and it will hold the frequency of each of these values. So that's what we're after, is a data frame with the first column of the unique values and the second column holding the counts, or the otherwise known as the frequency. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. So we're going to start off by creating an empty list to hold our data frames. And then we're going to iterate through our data, which is always stored in, or it's continually stored in the underscore data dictionary. So very interestingly, we're gonna use the NumPy unique function here. And this doesn't intuitively, you would think, would have this ability, but it does. So it actually has this other parameter called return counts, and it's a little difficult to see because it's all jumbled up here. But if it is true, by default it is false, then it's also going to return the number of times each unique item appears. So it actually returns 2 arrays as a tuple if you set return counts to true. So the first argument will be just the array that you want to get the unique values, but then we're going to set unique counts as true, and this will return a tuple of the unique values. So we'll just call it uniques, and then we'll say counts like this. So we're going to unpack this tuple into 2 separate variables, uniques and counts. So that's the bulk of the work is actually done by this unique function. The only thing that we want to do here is that it says return the data frame with counts sorted from greatest to least. So we could sort counts independently, but we also need to sort uniques along with it. So to do this, we're going to rely on NumPy again, and we're going to use the argsort function. So the argsort function returns the order of the data from lowest to highest. So it returns integers as the order. So if there's 10 values in the counts array, it will return numbers between 0 and 9, giving us their order. So the very first integer will simply correspond to the very lowest item in that array. So it might be a good idea to see how this works in the notebook. And I already have an array here that I like to look at. So let's say we have defined this array A. It's just some values, 10 to 10, 5, 23, 2, 99. So if we do argsort and we go ahead and run argsort on our array, we will get back the order from least to greatest. So just to see how this works is that, so this first entry is 4, which just means the the element with index 4 is the smallest. So if we count there, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, we'll see that indeed 2 is the smallest element. And it just builds from there, goes from least to greatest. We can verify that 5, which is the very last item in the array, 99, corresponds to the largest item. So let's go ahead and assign this array to just some other variable like b. And if we pass b into the brackets, it will select items in that order. So it will select the items in that order and it correctly sorts it. Okay, great. So that works, and the reason we need argsort is because we need to use this this order not only to sort the counts, but to sort the the first column, which are just the unique values. So let's go ahead and get a variable called order, and we'll say argsort, and we'll pass in counts over here. Now, by default, it will sort from least to greatest. So one way to sort from greatest to least is to actually make this a negative value. So that will sort it from greatest to least if we turn all of them negative, and we can verify this over here. If we put in a negative value, you can see that we have sorted it now from greatest to least by putting that negative sign. So this just simply multiplies all the values by -1. Alright, so that's how we get the order. And then we're just going to simply reassign uniques and counts with that new order array. So let's go ahead and do this reassignment. We're going to sort it. So that looks good. Now we need to create a data frame out of this. So we want to create a new data frame. So we're going to put in the dictionary here. If you want, you can go ahead and do new data as a dictionary, and we can create a separate variable. So the very first column we will keep the same column name, and we will map it to uniques, which is just a one-dimensional array of the unique values. And the second column will be called count, and we will put the counts value over here. So if we pass this new data dictionary into the constructor, we will have successfully completed or created an array or created a data frame out of this. Let's go ahead and just append this to our list, and that pretty much does it. So the only thing we need is left to do is check and see if the length of DFS, the list, is 1. If it is, we'll just return the very first one. If it's not, we will just we don't actually even need an else statement here. We'll just say, so sorry, we need a return statement. We'll just say return DFS. So that looks good, and we need to verify that this works. So let's go ahead and run our new test, which is actually in the test grouping class. So this is not a new testing class for value counts, and the test is called test value counts. And we can see that it did pass. Good. So that completes step 27, value counts. All right, fantastic.